Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to what must now surely be the final episode of this Factorio series. In the last one we got all the science done, we tried to get all of the equipment in place to make the rocket defense, but it turned out to be a bit more of a challenge than I thought it would be, and so it's still not done, and so that's what we will be finishing off with in this episode. So there's speed modules all over the place at this point because I'm trying to make 50 level 3 speed modules. I've made some of them, and then I've also done a bunch of level 2s as well, and they're randomly distributed throughout all of these assemblers to try and make them go as fast as possible. So what I start doing is sort of evening them out, putting the level 3s in the most important places and level 2s everywhere else to get things more even and nicely distributed. And then I need to try and just speed things up a bit, so you can see that we're having some trouble getting the copper wires to get all the way through the system as fast as possible, and at the moment not all of the production is active because the assembler, the belt can't move fast enough. So I start building this convoluted weird system that may or may not be any use, that's supposed to try and make it so that all of the belts can get transported to where they need to go. So I use a couple of splitters and then a few underground belts once they actually get crafted, which takes a while. And I get it to go around like the side of the system and go into that bit so that hopefully it will supply things properly and everything will be fine. Also, we get an attack on the south wall, and it seems like there's more attacks happening right now while I'm doing all this. Like the biters know what's happening, that they know that the end is nigh, and that soon I will have built the rocket defense, and their chance to destroy me will be over. So the next thing I do is I try and distribute advanced circuits that I have in my inventory around, try and get it evened out and in places where it's useful and important. And then I'm just watching the circuit production to see if it's going as fast as it can. You can see that the copper wire is actually building up now, so I guess I did something right there in that weird system I made. Also, I take out the chest for level 2 speed modules because all of the processing units, are going into the production of the level 2 speed modules and never getting to level 3, and it's just filling up the chest forever. So I take the chest out so that now it's just whatever's in the system that's ready to go in, and hopefully that will speed things up and, I don't know, be less wasteful and things like that. Also, I just grabbed a bunch of circuitry off the line there to make use of somewhere else, and I stick them into processor unit production, because what I find is that if I dump a stack of electronic circuits into processing unit production, we suddenly get millions of them coming through and everything goes really fast for a while, but then advanced circuits run down and things start to slow down again and go back to how they were. But it's a little boost that's quite nice. So what I start doing is running around and stealing circuits from everywhere else in the factory to try and use them to supplement the production everywhere else. So I'm just standing at the end of a line here, like hoovering up all of the circuits as they come along, and then I go to this bit because the belt's moving a bit quicker, so it should help. And then I realise that they've been loaded into those requester chests, so I just get rid of I take out the stuff first, and in a minute I get rid of them. I also go around and grab all of the advanced circuits off this line here because of course science isn't operating anymore. And it's funny how things have all gone backwards and upside down in this final episode, because this whole time module production has been working to supplement science and keep it working, and now suddenly science is just gone and it's time for module production to shine, and I can just steal everything off science and give it to modules to make it go faster than it's ever gone before. So you can see I dumped a bunch more electronic circuits into the processing units, so they just went flying through, and we crafted a bunch of the speed modules at once, which was nice. And I'm just sort of making sure it's all going nicely, finding out where the choke points are. It seems like at the end of the day the big problem that we're having with that's limiting the speed is just how much production we're getting in terms of circuits and advanced circuits. So I guess we need to get some delivered. So I've set up a chest, a provider chest being filled by the circuit production on the end of it, and that's been sent to this requested chest over here to help supplement the supply nicely. And then I do it over here as well. I get the circuit production going onto this into this chest here and have that unload as well. And hopefully that will, it'll surely help to increase the speed at which everything is running, because now there's just more circuits in the system. And hopefully it's not too much that copper starts to run down or anything like that. So I'm just sort of making sure that it's like there's nothing stealing all of the resources and things like that, watching the processing units go through, see how fast they're going, and I'm just in my head doing the maths of how much is needed for each of the modules. So the thing is that you need 5 processing units, I think, to make any of the level 2 or 3 speed modules, but then you also need them, they all sort of stack, because of course a level 3 speed module needs level 4 speed modules, and they need processing units, so it all sort of snowballs and you end up needing 25 processing units, and a processing unit needs 2 advanced circuits and 20 electronic circuits, so you're suddenly looking at like what, 500 circuits or something for one of these things, and you suddenly realize why it's taking so long to get these all produced, why it's like a few minutes between the production of each one. Though it's speeding up as I'm getting better at helping the system and feeding in the requirements to the right locations. Because the thing is, with processing units, the inserters can't move fast enough to load them up a lot of the time. It's just that the production also isn't enough for them to be loading at full speed, so it kind of balances out in that way. But you can see every time I fill them up, there's a sudden big backup on the line because the processing units are the ones that are eating everything at the moment in terms of production, and it's a bit crazy. And so I'm running back to the line again and trying to siphon off more circuits. The only thing is that if I'm taking all of the circuits off all the main line, then we're going to suddenly find ourselves with copper being used up at its maximum rate, and unfortunately we just can't deal with that even to this day after all this work and development. Having all of the circuit production going absolutely mental with speed modules and everything, it just won't work for the copper, so we can't steal all of the circuits, though for a while I do that, and it ends up happening the odd time. But things are going a lot faster now that I've realized that processing units are one of the main problems that we're having, and I've also taken out the chest for speed modules, which I think was actually a big bottleneck as well. So I like just whenever one of the belts fills up back at the main base, I just run in and steal it all again and go and add it into the system and hope that it's not too much. And of course we've got the provider chest and the requested chest delivering it as well. But still, the amount of time that it's taking to get this all done, if I'd realised last episode how long it would have taken, then I wouldn't have extended last episode, because it would have just made this a full episode anyway. So there was no point really. I should have just extended this one, but I'll take that into account in future series, and I think in the next series I'm going to make sure that all of the speed modules are ready a long time before rocket defense is researched, so that we don't have that problem again. So anyway, you can see that now we've started to have some problem with copper, but it's sort of come back again. I ran over to the smelting area to see how it was doing, but it's recovered now. I've stopped being so mean to it, and the thing is, there's not that much to do really, apart from like make sure that the speed modules are in the right place, which I've already done. I have a look at the power, and I find that with all of this crazy stuff and like all of the horrible power usage of everything, that now that has speed modules instead of effectivity modules, I've like multiplied the power consumption by 20 or whatever ridiculous numbers. With all this, the power is actually like, it's supplying it, but it's not supplying it as much as you'd expect. The module production is managing to use up huge amounts of our power production, despite science being just completely off, and science being the main production that this base has, and like it's always been that way. This power system was designed to sustain that, and now it's sustaining this when it's massively overclocked and going absolutely mental. But I do wish that there was more room, because I think if I'd made a bit more space, I could have had things moving even quicker. Because of course, if you remember back to many episodes ago now, and I'm sort of we're going into like the usual final episode thing of looking back through the old good moments. There was a time when I built module production for the first time, and it was just for building effectivity modules, and I actually deconstructed the whole thing and built it again in a different place, because I realized that there wasn't enough room to expand. And when I built it at that time, I thought that I definitely always have enough room to expand with all of the extra space that I'd given it. But now I'm finding it's all crammed in again, and it's all as compressed as it can be. And it's funny that that's happened, and it means that next time round I'm going to have to put even more room in for module production and things like that. Though I do have a different design now. If you saw my production line design video, it shows that since I started this series, I've discovered a much better way to set up your base when you're using conveyor belts that makes everything run brilliantly relative to this, and we're never going to quite have the problems that we've had here again. Anyway, we're getting very close to the completion now. I had a glance at the how many alien artifacts were left, and it was 2, and now it's none. So there we go. So now I'm shutting everything down, turning everything off, and stealing all of the speed modules out of it, because it looks like it is time. We'll finally have the stack of 50. So we get them all gathered together, and there's 42, and then I realise that I've left the ones in the actual production. But then we get those, and there's still 4 missing. And I'm looking around and trying to find it, and I'm thinking, was there some other assembler that I filled with these? Was there something on the other circuit production? So I'm looking all around my base, trying to work out where I put these speed modules, and I just can't find them. They're not even in like rocket production. And in the end, I just thought, well, I suppose I'll just make another 4. So I look around a bit more apparently first. I'm really sure that they must be around somewhere, because I know the game's sometimes eaten alien artifacts, but never 4. It's been 1 before usually. So I set it off again. And then, while that's going, I suddenly think, oh, there's one place I didn't check. Plastics. I put them in plastics. So I grab them out of plastics, grab a couple of extra ones that I've made, so I have the 50, and now it's time. And here we are, for the final time, standing here, at the centre of this base. It is made. The rocket defence is completed. I admit, it is a placeholder. So, you know, cut them some slack. In the next update they will probably be fixing this, but in the meantime this is the symbol of the final completion of my base. And so if it'll let us place it, for a moment it ate all the power, but now all I have to do is press that button and the timer has begun. In 10 minutes time the game will end, and all of this work shall be completed. Everything that I worked for will be done, and this base will no longer have a purpose. You can see already that it's dying. Basically, the science has stopped, which means that you can sort of trace back all of the failure. There's a few things still going. Circuit production is still going, because it's feeding the modules, because of course they've still got a bit more to go. I've really wrecked this place though with all this work I did. Look at this mess. What is this? This is horrible. And all of this here, and all of these things are turned sideways. Let's fix that. Oh, that was already the right way around. But this is the wrong thing here. This is producing the wrong thing. I'm going to fix all these before the end, because this is no good. Okay. But there's still it's all missing. It's all missing the modules that are in it. The effectivity modules aren't in place. Yeah, I've sort of wrecked it basically in the effort to finally finish this, to finally get everything complete. But you know, the structure is still here. You can still see what I've made. All this that I've worked on for all this time, these 34 hours now, nearly. And yeah, I suppose I'll walk around and let you just see it all for one last time. Maybe not when the goggles are on though, because then you can't see anything. Everything's a bit weird and green. So yeah, we've gone through a lot in all of this. It's weird though, because I looked back at some of my earlier episodes, and some of the stuff here has been here the entire time. This belt and this belt, they've been here since episode 2. This has been here since maybe even episode 1, and a lot of it has actually not moved in a lot of this time, which is weird. And you know, I've had to change so much, and this is so crammed with things, and it's all so messy and horrible, but at the end of the day it worked, and it's got us to here, this point, with the counter counting down. Oh, this has run out of coal. Well, that's no good. I don't think it's important at this point though. We don't need the steam engine. Let's look at the power. Oh wow, that's the spike when we put in the rocket defense. Let's look at the 50 hour, because it's useful now. We can make use of it, and we can see how things have expanded and changed. What was the grey stuff? The grey stuff was furnaces. furnaces were using a lot more for a long time, and then we got the effectivity modules in. It's gone down mostly. It's around here now. You can see assembling machines. Let's go to 10 hours. Oh god, the red is a problem. The assembly machines, that's blue here, and it just went mental in this last hour and a half because I destroyed all of the carefully made efficiency and everything. There it is, ticking away. 6 minutes to go. Let's go for a drive. Let's wander around, see the things we made. We haven't looked at this solar field in a while. It's powered us all for a long time, but in the end it wasn't enough. We had to go and build one over here this way. And there's even a train now. There used to be a train here. This was like last episode or whatever. New power generation. The north wall protected us so well for so long. Oh, there's an opening over here. I didn't realise I'd left an opening here. I've been using the middle one for all this time. It shows how long I've been working on this now. It's been months of videos, and I've built this whole thing in that time, to the extent where there's places I haven't been in a long time. Oh look, over here, the iron, it's finished. This outpost is done. I never actually saw it finish until now, when we're actually finished with the entire series. I can just deconstruct all of this, just get rid of it. We don't need it anymore. It's over. This is done. Oh, we need some of it. We've turned the power off. Just do. I don't know why I'm continuing to work on this now. It's over. I'm optimizing a system which is not operating anymore. Here's the train. I messed up the loading thing. I got it to wait too long in the end. Where's my car gone? It's over there. So yeah, there's a lot has happened to my channel in the time that this series has been going. When I started this, I had no viewers, and now I have a lot more. I mean, I did all my tutorials since I started this series. The oil one was after episode 6. Rail one was very recent actually, and I've seen views go from single figures to triple figures. And now there's 100 viewers within a couple of days on every video, and it's pretty cool. And a lot of people have really liked the way I've done this, having it at 4 times speed and doing post commentary on it. People like that, and it's different, and that's what I was aiming for. I didn't want to be the same as everyone else and just do a normal series, and I felt like it was boring to watch someone play through at normal speed for a lot of the time, because there's a lot of the time where it's not that much happens. And so I wanted to change that by doing it faster with the post commentary. And you know, people like to advertise live commentary as a plus, but you know, it's not always the case. Sometimes you're busy thinking and you don't have time to like talk while you're working on it. And here is the site of my old copper outpost, completely gone now. Fueled us for so long. We mined it completely dry. There's nothing left. You can see the mark that the rail has left in the tree line. Less than 4 minutes to go now, and then it's finally the end. All this oil being drilled everywhere, all these trains running around. And this system, I love it. It's brilliant. There's always a train doing something here, and like being unloaded and setting off and coming back, and all of these signals. And I now know how signals work, and you know what? I'm going to make a tutorial on it soon, because it's about time I did. I've got the whole drone system set up, but at the end of the day, a lot of this I did with conveyor belts, which not everyone does. Some people will have a logistic bot powered system, but I prefer to go for the more old-fashioned way. I'll let my robot repair that. Of course, remember when all this was coal, and I mined it for such a long time, and here it all is now. These huge stores. And these contain 3.1 because they still have the stacks of 64 in them. And then we get over to here and it's the 50, because this has been going so long that a lot has happened to Factorio in the time that I've been going with this. We've gone from being in 0.9.8 stable release. We've had 10 come out, and we've had it go through a bunch of iterations, and now it's in 0.6, and I think on Friday it gets to 0.7, and I reckon that could be the last update, and then we'll be moving on to 11 and multiplayer and all of those glorious things. Remember when this wall was used? This shouldn't even be here anymore. I just didn't deconstruct it because I thought I might as well keep it in case we ever have any problems. It's the last line of defense. And once it was the first, I remember when we had the steam engine column coming up here and biters were getting right up to it and blowing up the turrets around it and everything. We had coal deposits here that we were mining to keep that powered, and they only went recently, actually. You know, it's a lot of stuff has happened. The factory's been through a lot, and I've overclocked it to hell. This thing is so efficient now. I've worked so hard to make it work with what I've had, and the system is terrible, really. And I know this now. I've realised that I put this together in a really horrible way. Except the smeltery. The smeltery was good. That's well designed, I think. And there's a few things I haven't done, like rockets. I had to build the first thing for that to actually make it in the end. Down to 1.5 minutes now. Almost time. The oil production never actually got very big looking at it. We were always on just the 4 tanks for each one. It's messed up now. There's no liquid there's no light or heavy oil left now. It's all been turned into petroleum gas. But all of these are still going. The oil stocks are still pretty full, thanks to our deliveries from the north. And at the end of the day, this was a success. We made it. I researched the entire tech tree. Here it is, in its complete form. Everything researched over all this time, 34 episodes, and we're finally coming to the end now. In less than a minute's time the ship will land and it will be over. The biters will be annihilated, and I won't have a purpose anymore. The factory has been built, the production has been made, nothing else needs to be done, and I'll have to move on to a new world to do it all again. That's my job, to be this lonely man, the only man on the planet, working to make it livable. And once he does, he moves on. Doesn't get to enjoy the fruits of his labour. He has to move on and go to the next planet. And that's just how it goes. That is Factorio. And Factorio is awesome. And I will play this for much, much longer. There will be more series, don't you worry. This isn't the last time. It's only the first.